In the centuries-old Lakota tradition, the sacred pipe was smoked after the signing of the document. This time honored tradition of praying to the four directions, Grandmother Earth and the Great Spirit, turned the treaty meeting into a holy ceremony. With the smoking of the pipe, our ancestors deeply believed that they had made an eternal pact, not only with the white man, but with the Great Spirit over our ancestral lands. The Fort Laramie Treaty deeded to the Great Sioux Nation a large area of our original hunting grounds, including parts of what are now 5 states. But most importantly, our sacred land of the Black Hills, Chesapa. In 1872, the lust for land reached a crisis. Gold-crazed miners invaded our sacred Black Hills in their insatiable quest for riches. They demanded that the Army send a detachment to protect them, as well as help build an access road onto Indian lands, the Thieves' Road. Our Lakota leaders were angered by the betrayal of the treaty. They believed that the miners and the Army, led by General Custer, were trespassing on deeded Lakota lands, blasting holes into our Mother Earth, cutting down sacred trees, and chasing away all the game in the frenzy of their building of the Thieves' Road. Our Lakota ancestors felt they had no choice but to retaliate. Chief Spotted Tail said,
"This war has come from robbery, the stealing of our lands. This war was not begun by Indians, but brought about by the children of the Great Father who came to take our lands from us without any price, and who in our land do a great many evil things."
Winter, 1875. After unsuccessful attempts to buy the Black Hills, the government ordered all non-agency Lakota Indians to report to the agency by January or provoke the wrath of the Army. Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull and their bands ignored the threat. The following spring, the Army began their bloody campaign against what they call the hostiles, our Lakota ancestors who refused to give up their land and their traditional way of life. Later that summer, General Custer and the 7th Cavalry made the tragic mistake of attacking a large Sundance encampment at Greasy Grass, north of the Bighorn Mountains. When word of Custer's humiliating defeat reached Washington, the United States Congress exploited the battle by confiscating our Black Hills and more than half of the land deeded to us in the Fort Laramie Treaty. Their justification was that the Lakota had broken the Treaty of 1868, conveniently ignoring Custer's attack on a peaceful, spiritual camp. Treaty commissioners were sent in to coerce and manipulate the agency chiefs into signing their documents, ignoring the stipulation requiring signatures of 3/4 of the male tribe members on any treaty concerning land cessions. For generations, the spiritual heart of the Lakota nation had been Chesapa, the Black Hills. They were considered the heart of everything that is, because Lakota legend told how our first people entered life on earth within these hills.
The Black Hills was our land of prayer. It's our central location of speaking to the spiritual forces of the universe as we know it, as Lakota people. A lot of our ancestors went up there and fasted and prayed.
Due to the catastrophic slaughter of the buffalo herds, the source of our food, our clothes, and our spiritual life, our people were freezing, starving, and desperate. For the sake of his people, Crazy Horse and hundreds of his band turned themselves in at the Red Cloud Agency. While riding free on the plains, Crazy Horse was regarded as a legendary warrior and leader. But on the reservation, government officials considered him aloof and a troublemaker. Within a year of his surrender, he was dead, murdered by an army prison guard. Meanwhile, Sitting Bull took his band to Canada and requested a reservation there. When his request was denied, he led his people back across the border to live on the Standing Rock Reservation. Life on the grim and ever-shrinking reservation was devastating to our people. Drought, disease, and inadequate government rations caused mass starvation and epidemics. Once the masters of the plains, our people were now hungry, sick, landless, and vulnerable to promises of spiritual salvation. Despite the official ban on the practice of Indian ceremonies, they embraced a mysterious new religion that was spreading across the land like bushfire. In 1889, a Paiute medicine man in Nevada named Wovoka had a vision of a ceremony that would bring their dead ancestors and the slaughtered buffalo back to life. Wovoka promised that if the Indian nation would participate in the Wanahiwachipi, the ghost dance, that there would be a new millennium of peace and happiness. During the fall of 1890, the haunting songs of the Lakota ghost dancers echoed across the landscapes of the western Badlands. At the hidden outpost called Stronghold Table, the Lakota ghost dancers prayed fervently for the restoration of their people and the old way of life. In this last refuge, they sought visions of their loved ones and danced and prayed to the Great Spirit to bring back the old way of life. The excitement of the ghost dance ritual inspired new hope in the people, but fear in the white settlers and government agents. The call went out once again to the army, and several thousand troops were sent in to seal off the area. The Hunkpapa holy man, Sitting Bull, who helped defeat Custer at Greasy Grass, was perceived by the government as being an instigator of the ghost dance. In early December 1890, Sitting Bull was killed by government police at Little Eagle, South Dakota. In terror, many of Sitting Bull's people fled to the Cheyenne River Reservation to join Chief Bigfoot. This 162-mile route that the survivors of Sitting Bull's band traveled in the freezing winter of 1890 would become the first leg of the Bigfoot Memorial Ride 100 years later.